Now we're going to talk to Representative Jim Clyburn. He's not only the representative from the 6th Congressional District of South Carolina, but he's also the House Majority Whip, and he was also at the Healthcare Summit today with President Obama and the Republicans. Representative Clyburn, great pleasure to have you on.
Well, thank you so much for having me.
All right. First, obviously, I got to get your initial impressions of how the summit went.
Well, I thought it was a very fruitful discussion, very cordial. There were a few rather lively exchanges, but all in all, I think it was beneficial. It allowed people to see the bright line exist between us and them on so many issues. And I think that the American people will be able to really now know pretty much where both parties stand on these things that are so important to them. I mean, you see something as simple as, well, we ought to get rid of discrimination because of pre-existing conditions. There seem to be some differences between us and them on that. We think you need to get rid of it. They question whether or not you need to be regulating the insurance industry. I mean, these things are basic differences that I think the American people got a good chance to see today.
Representative Clyburn, that's interesting that you brought up the pre-existing condition and used the word discrimination there, because there was an argument made during the summit that it is denying people health care because of their different conditions, whether they're pre-existing or not. It was a form of segregation. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, Senator Harkin talked about that, and I thought it was kind of interesting that he used that analogy, but not only did he talk about that, but at one point somebody else near the end of the day came back to it. And it may have been the president that used that analogy. And I think it was kind of interesting, especially when a lot of us, and I for one, have argued for some time now that what we're trying to do here is establish health care as a fundamental right. As you know, there are a lot of people who think that health care ought not be a right in this country. It ought to be a privilege. I am not one of those. I think that in a society such as ours, health care ought to be a fundamental right. And so it's kind of interesting that that analogy was used, but
do you agree with the analogy?
Well, yes, I do. There's no question about that. We do, in fact, say that people, you are being discriminated against if you have a pre-existing condition. We can deny you coverage if you get sick with a catastrophic illness. And so, sure, it's a form of discrimination. It's the word I would use rather than segregation. But, you know, people sort of use those words interchangeably when they really mean discrimination.
Right, and I think that Senator Harkin was referring to segregating people into different insurance pools.
So yes, he did. And that means if you're real sick, you get in one pool. You ain't too god-awful sick, you get into another pool. Right. And sure. So okay. I understand that.
Right. We're talking to Representative Jim Clyburn. He's the House Majority Whip for the Democrats. There was a lot of talk, Representative, about philosophical differences during the summit, but there was not as much talk about political differences. And I wondered, watching it, is this a matter of, hey, you know, the Republicans and the Democrats just genuinely disagree on governing philosophy, or is this also politics where Republicans, A, want to just block the bill for the sake of blocking it for political reasons, and B, because they get campaign money from insurance companies and and doctors, hospitals, et cetera, and whether that should have been talked about more during the summit?
Well, no, we were not there to talk about really politics at all. We were there to try to develop some good policy. Now, to the extent to which politics come into play, you can't ever take politics out of politics, and all of us are politicians, so some of that's going to be at play. The fact of the matter is, you're right. I think Jim DeMint, the senator from my home state, I think crystallized it for us way back 8-9 months ago when he said, we stop Obama on this, stop him on the health care, it'll be his Waterloo. Now, that's what this was all about. You can't go back to those back in August when we had those town hall meetings that all of these Tea Party people showed up to. All of that was about politics. All of that was about stopping Obama. So, sure, there are those in the Republican Party who feel that they have to do whatever it takes to deny any kind of significant victory to this president. That's why you saw, and I think that Jim Cooper was very good today when he had talked about how people talk this good game, but when it comes time to cast a vote, comes time to act upon their words, they don't do it. He spoke about the deficit side of the issue, and he's a very conservative blue dog from Tennessee, and he raised the issue of those 7 Republicans who, after co-sponsoring the deficit reduction panel that they wanted to create over in the Senate, they co-sponsored the bill. And when it came time to vote for it, they voted against it, walked away from it, simply because they want to deny Obama a victory. They were fine with this thing until Obama embraced it as a good idea. They don't want anything that Obama thinks a good idea to pass. And so I suspect that if you really go through this thing, look at this exchange, this insurance exchange, marketplace exchange that we want to set up for the health care bill. That was a Republican concept. They brought that up before, this high-risk pool, the high-risk pool which Obama embraced. That was a John McCain concept. There are 11 things that Republicans campaign on that we've got in this bill that they're now saying they're against.
So that naturally leads to the next question then, Congressman, which is, have we had enough concessions to the Republicans? Where do you draw the line? And what happens next now that we've done all these concessions? And it sounds like Obama might want to do a couple more. And then where do you draw the line and what happens next?
Well, as far as I'm concerned, the line ought to be drawn in the sand right now. I don't know how far President Obama plans to go on this, but I know he's going too far for me already. And I think it's time for us to decide what course of action we're going to take. I don't think you're going to get the 60 votes you need to invoke any kind of a cloture or a motion to proceed is what they need. I don't think you're going to get it. So I think that what they need to do is start doing now, working out, being sure that we got this 50 votes that we need, and let's move on and pass this bill.
We're talking to Representative Jim Clyburn. He's from the 6th Congressional District of South Carolina and the House Majority Whip right now for the Democrats. Representative, some are concerned, and there was a New York Times article about this, that Obama has not been strong enough in pushing this forward. And, you know, when you look at the political landscape, he doesn't really have to concern himself with the Republicans. They only have 41 votes in the Senate. If he's willing to do reconciliation, what he's really got to do is put pressure on Democrats to get this thing passed. Has he been too weak in dealing with this issue?
Well, the fact of the matter is, I mean, you have to work with the Senate. Now, the question is, did Harry Reid want to go the reconciliation route? I think Harry, like any good leader, wanted to go do what is necessary to get the 60 votes to maintain the collegiality that they like to have over in the Senate. You know, they're sort of a gentleman's club, so that's what he wanted to do. But I think that he now knows he's not going to get it. So I think that when the 41st vote was delivered by Massachusetts, I think it freed Harry Reid up, too. I think that the 60 votes aren't there now, so he can start worrying about that and start going out and trying to put together a 50-vote plan.
I understand that. If I remember correctly, you had some reservations about endorsing Barack Obama during the primaries.
Who, me?
You?
No.
Do I not have that?
House Majority Whip. Look, I'm the House Majority Whip. I've got to count votes. None of us in the leadership endorsed. Nancy didn't endorse. I didn't endorse. Senator Hardy didn't endorse. It had nothing to do with Barack Obama. It had to do with being the Majority Whip. If I'm trying to get legislation passed, and I've got a caucus, some of whom are for Biden, some of whom are for Hillary Clinton, some are for Obama. They were for all over the place. I would be stupid to go out there and threaten my chances of getting votes by publicly endorsing anybody.
I understand
Obama
that.
always knew where I was.
I know, I understand that. So,
Okay.
But over this last year, as we have not gotten financial reform yet, not gotten health care reform yet, just the public option, it looks like the White House just totally threw under the bus, and that you guys passed it in the House. Yeah. Is there some disappointment in the results so far?
No, I'm not. You may be a bit surprised to find this out, but remember the public option that we passed in the House was not the so-called robust public option, which I was never for. I have always been for what I call a hybrid public option plan. I've always been for us increasing eligibility for Medicaid from 130% of poverty up to 150% of poverty, and then reimbursing Medicaid at the same level that we reimburse for Medicare. I've been there all the time, and I have always argued for that. Medicare is a public option. Medicaid is a public option. And so I think that people just got caught up in there. Because I asked some people, they said, well, are you for the public option? I said, how about explaining to me what you mean by a public option? Well, they look at me with an empty look. They didn't know what they were talking about. So if you talk about what is or is not a public option, it all depends upon how you think people ought to be covered and whether or not you ought to put the opportunity for people to go onto a public policy that will exist side by side with the private policies that exist inside the exchange. So I was very pleased with what we did in the House, and we supported what we did in the House, but that is not the public option that everybody called a robust public option. We did a hybrid.
Okay, but nonetheless, the hybrid's not in there either. And it's
What, not even the now?
Yeah, I mean,
No,
it's in the, it's in the House
not.
version, but I'm saying what Obama released on Monday did not have any kind of public option. It looks like he made a deal with the hospitals, back last year and told them he wasn't going to put the public option in there. It seems a little disappointing when he said he was going to change the way that, that things were done in Washington, that he wasn't going to play the same old games.
Well, I don't know about that. That's the first time I ever heard that he made some deal with the hospitals that he wouldn't do a public option. The fact of the matter is every hospital in my district was for the public option. Every hospital in my district was for this reform bill. Every hospital in my district told me they want more community health care centers. So I don't know that's true that all the
reported by the New
there.
York Times. Anybody could be wrong, but the hospital top lobbyist said that we have a deal and that we believe the White House is going to stick to the deal.
I won't argue with that at all. That may be true. I just never heard that before. It's the first time I ever heard it. But I tell you this, it won't be all unusual. I remember often, every time I run for re-election, I'm always supported by the South Carolina Chamber of Commerce. I'm always opposed by the National Chamber of Commerce. So I don't know.
All right. Now, finally, Representative Clyburn, you had a little bit of a disagreement with Steve King from Iowa.
Yes, I did.
He had said, he seemed to show some degree of empathy, I guess, for Joe Stack, who ran in the plane into the IRS building in Austin. You think he went too far there? And
absolutely, he went too far. But that's not unusual for him to go that far. Steve King and Tancredo, both those guys seem to relish into going off the deep end on these kinds of stuff. I was particularly insulted by King's comments, especially since the one person that died in that building was from Orangeburg, South Carolina. And I know his family members. And I was out in El Paso, Texas, the day after this event, and I ran into a lady out there who was this gentleman's cousin. And so Vernon Hunter is from my district, and I was very, very upset. Not only that Steve King would say something like that, as if some guy is doing something that could be justified, flying the airplane into a building, and the guy he kills is not just an ordinary veteran. He's spent 2 tours in Vietnam, and there he is at work carrying out his business, and now you got children that are fatherless and a wife that's been widowed, and he hadn't said one thing of remorse about the guy that died, but he can justify the guy flying the plane into the building. I can have a problem with that.
Well, you know, I remember some other terrorists flew a plane into a government building. It was called the Pentagon, and it was on 9/11.
Yeah.
I believe if a Democratic representative had said anything remotely similar to what Steve King had said about, you know, what happened with the IRS building, that they would have been in a whole heap of trouble.
Oh, man, there's no question about that.
So do you think Steve King should be censured by the Congress?
Well, no, there's not a congressional issue as far as we're concerned, but I think that the Republican conference or maybe even the Republican National Committee should let people know that he's not speaking for them.
And should he apologize to the family of Vernon Hunter?
Oh, I really think he owes them an apology. No question about that.
All right. Representative James Clyburn from South Carolina. Thank you so much for
Thank you so much for having me.
We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right. We'll be right back on the Young Turks.